This is a data overview of the IB program at Central High School. I'm Josh McCorville. I am the IB Diploma Program Coordinator at Central High School, and I'll be taking you through the scores, the demographics, the student achievement over the course of the last several years. So the purpose of the data analysis, first, we want to look at student performance and the 9 overall IB subjects that we offer here in the diploma program. We're also going to look at the core IB requirements, the extended essay, theory of knowledge, and creativity, action, and service, also known as CAS. We want to identify areas and trends of weakness within the program. We want to identify student learning problems within the current IB curriculum. And then finally, we want to allow the data analysis to inform an action plan that ultimately are going to increase IB scores in their examinations and then their overall IB diplomas that are awarded in the program. So first, let's take a snapshot of the overview of the program. You'll notice the student ethnicity over the last 3 years. We are predominantly African American students that we serve, but we still are diverse. We have Caucasian students, we have Asian students, we have a mixture of other students that are involved, but predominantly African American. You'll notice from 2016 to 2018 that number has stayed relatively the same, though recently there have been more Caucasian students and a little fewer African American students in that ethnicity. Population over the last 3 years. As a general rule, there have been more females in the program than males, but that has begun to change. Whereas in 2018, this most current year, we actually had more males than females, but that number was pretty close. Looking at the demographics, the free reduced lunch, all of our students are free reduced lunch. Every student in Bibb County is free reduced lunch. Our IB program is comprised of 68% gifted students. We do have 10% ELL students in our program, and 90% of our students are considered low socioeconomic status, SES students. Looking at teachers, we have a diverse group of teachers that serve the IB faculty. 55% are Caucasian, 33% African American, and 12% are Hispanic. The genders, we have more female than male teachers, 60 to 40. And then looking at their years of experience, we see that most of our teachers, 56% of them, are within the 4 to 6 years. But we don't have that many that are over 7+ years of experience. We only have 11% of our teachers. Thereby, the majority of our teachers are between 1 to 3 years and 4 to 6 years. Now, this chart is showing us the percentage of students that are getting the IB diploma. A little bit about the IB diploma. You have to score 24 points cumulatively over all your exams to get the IB diploma. Over the course of the last 6 years, that number has dropped, and then it has risen again over the course of the last 3 years. Now, for the purposes of the data analysis, we're only going to really focus in on those last 3 years. Back in 2016, only 11% of our students earned the IB diploma. We have increased that number every year since 2016, but we still have a long way to go. I mean, we are still not back up to where we were in 2013, and certainly not where we need to be as a program. When you're talking about the world average being about 50% earning the diploma, we have a lot of work we have to do. And this analysis is going to help us dig into why our rates are so low. So let's look at the core. Now, IB, their core is comprised of CAS, theory of knowledge, and extended essay. These are 3 things that students have to participate in, but they are not tested at the end of the year. CAS is your service projects. They have to do a certain number of hours in service projects. Extended essay, we're talking about a long 4,000-word essay in the subject of their choice. And then theory of knowledge is a paper where they have to do like a real-life simulation, and they have to integrate a specific type of knowledge into that question. So we're looking at our core requirements. CAS, we're having no problems with that. Every year our students are completing CAS. You can see 96% in 2016, 100% 2018. Where we're really struggling in our core requirements is TOK and EE. Most recent year, 20% of our students earned proficiency in TOK. And when I say proficiency, I mean they are getting the score that IB considers passing, which would be a 4 or higher. On extended essay, they only had 30% proficiency, and IB requires, they give you a breakdown A, B, C, D, and E, and that is C or higher. So in both of those areas, which are both very important critical areas to getting the diploma, we are struggling. Now let's break it down even further by our 9 subject areas. Okay, what I want you to do right now is I want you to pause this video and then look at the data and just write down a couple observations. Okay, welcome back. I hope that you've had time to pause it and look at the different subjects. So you'll see right off the bat that we're really struggling in areas of math and physics. 2016, physics, we didn't have any students get proficient. And once again, we're talking about proficiency. We're talking about getting a score of 4 or higher. Physics, it went up a little bit in 2017, but it has gone back down in 2018. Math, it was at 30, it went down to 14, and then up to 25. Another area where we're seeing some struggles are in our fine arts, our theater and visual arts. They have not had much growth. In fact, our theater has diminished over the last 3 years. Visual arts has stayed pretty stagnant. Now, as far as our areas where we're seeing improvement, English and history, we're seeing a great number of students getting proficiency. You look at English, every year we have at least 60, 70, up to 80% of our students that are earning proficiency. And history is another area that is very positive. It has seen consistent growth from every year. A 7% growth from 2016 to 2017, a 16% growth from 2017 to 2018, and we have to think about what are some of the reasons why English and history might be doing well and why math and physics might not be doing well. So let's look at these areas of strength. I want you right now to discuss with your partner the following questions. What observations can you make from comparing the data in IB English and history? Why might our students be performing strongly in these two areas? What type of assessments does IB require in English and history? And are they similar in any type of ways? So take a second to look at it and discuss with your partner. All right, so both of these areas are both writing intensive. The assessments that IB offers in papers 1, 2, and 3, they have to write essays in both the subject areas. And our students are doing very well on essay writing examinations. They have a lot of practice in these classes, and it's serving them well. Let's look at some areas of weakness. So like we did last time, I want you to look at the two graphs here and discuss the following. What observations can you make from comparing math and physics? Why might they be struggling in these areas? And what type of assessments does IB require in math and physics? And are they similar in any way? So take a minute. All right, welcome back. So you've looked at both areas. As far as the assessments between the two, they obviously are going to include a lot of math, but as we're digging into this, I want you to understand that calculus is a critical component of both of these classes. Specifically on paper 2. Paper 2 of math, paper 2 of physics is very heavy calculus based. And our scores on paper 2 specifically are pretty low. So let's go ahead and look into that. Here we're going to break down these two classes by component. And when I say component, I mean the different examinations that each one has. Now, physics is an HL class, and HL means there are 3 papers, 3 exams, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, that they have to complete. And then the IA is the internal assessment that every class has to do. Math, SL, it's a standard level class, so there's 2 papers, 1 and 2, and then the IA. So you look at both component graphs, and a few things stand out to you here. Along the y-axis, we have 1 through 7. This is the score that students are awarded. And you'll notice that there's not many students that are getting really above a 3 on any of these essays. The percentages are very low. And in fact, those that are getting above a 3 are doing it on their IAs in both classes. Very few students are earning 4 and above. And 4 is really the cutoff for what's considered proficient. Now, which specific paper are we struggling with? Well, yeah, we're struggling with really all the papers. But paper 2 is the one that's really killing our students. You look at physics first, paper 2. Well, we see right off the bat, over 30% of our students are getting a 1 on paper 2. Over 40% of our students are getting a 2 on paper 2, and that's just not going to cut it. Whereas in math, paper 2, well, once again, 40% of our students getting a 1 in paper 2, 50% of our students getting a 2 in paper 2. And when we're talking about paper 2 is the one that is heavy math-based. You can use a calculator, but it contains the majority of calculus. Calculus is critically important in both of these papers and to the success of our students. The IA, our students are doing pretty well on. In math, we had 70% of our students get a 5 in the IA. Yes, we could get some 6s and 7s, but that is a positive. The IA in physics, we could still see some improvements. We had about 12% get a 5. We had about 22% get a 4. But most of our students in the IA are still 3 and below in physics. Okay, so looking at all this data, now we can identify what our student learning problem is. Because paper 2 in physics and math both contain heavy calculus, it's reasonable to assume that our student learning problem is that our students are struggling with calculus type questions in both content areas. So what can we do? How can we make sense of all of this data? What I want you to do now is I want you to answer these questions with your partner around you. And then we're going to come back and we're going to have a full discussion over these questions. So, what surprised you the most about looking at the data? What are we doing well as a program? What are we struggling with as a program? What instructional supports can we put in place to make improvements to our identified student learning problem? And remember, that is the calculus, that our students are struggling with calculus. How can we change or modify our current practice to adjust to the student learning problem that we identified? And then finally, and really the most important, what action steps can we take to bring improvement to our students in Math SL and Physics HL? Because if we can bring improvements in these 2 areas, that is going to help our overall diploma rate for the entire school and increase our student achievement. Thank you for watching this presentation.